Elara's world had always been one of polished marble floors and whispered secrets in the grand halls of her family's estate. But on that fateful evening, as she stood in the dimly lit study, the air thick with the scent of aged leather and burning logs, everything changed. She clutched a crystal glass of whiskey, her fingers trembling slightly, the amber liquid swirling like the turmoil in her mind. The family portrait loomed above the mantel, a stern reminder of lineage and legacy, her late mother, her stern father, her beautiful sister who had married into even greater wealth, and now, the void left by tragedy. Lord Harlan, her father, paced before the roaring fireplace, his boots thudding softly on the Persian rug. His face, lined with years of ruthless negotiations and boardroom battles, was etched with desperation. "Your sister is gone, Elara," he said, his voice a low growl that echoed off the wood-paneled walls. "Taken in that horrific carriage accident, or whatever they call those infernal automobiles these days. And Duke Roderick, her husband, your brother-in-law, lies in a coma, clinging to life by threads of machinery and medicine." He stopped abruptly, turning to face her, his eyes like sharpened steel. "The estate is on the brink. Without an heir, without stability, our fortunes crumble. Creditors circle like sharks. You must marry him. It's the only way to secure the alliance, to merge our dwindling assets with his vast empire." Elara's heart pounded in her chest, a wild drumbeat against the cage of her ribs. Marry Roderick. The man she barely knew, a figure of rumors and shadows, now reduced to a silent form in a hospital bed. He was wealthy beyond measure, yes, mines in distant colonies, shipping fleets that spanned oceans, estates that rivaled kingdoms. But he was comatose, a living corpse, unresponsive to the world. The idea repulsed her, yet the allure of that wealth, the power it promised, flickered in her thoughts like a forbidden flame. She had always been the overlooked daughter, the one destined for a quiet life in the shadows. Now, duty called her to the forefront, a pawn in her father's game. She set the glass down with a clink, the sound sharp in the heavy silence. "And if I refuse?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Lord Harlan's lips curled into a mirthless smile. "Then we lose everything. The house, the lands, the name. You'll be on the streets, begging for scraps, while vultures pick at our bones." His words hung in the air, a noose tightening around her future. Elara closed her eyes, visions of poverty clashing with images of opulent balls and silk gowns. She nodded slowly, the motion feeling like a surrender. "Very well," she whispered, sealing her fate in that single breath. The study seemed to close in around her, the portrait's eyes judging her choice. Outside, rain began to patter against the windows, as if the heavens themselves wept for what was to come. The chapel was a somber affair, shrouded under a sky heavy with storm clouds that threatened to unleash their fury at any moment. Elara walked down the aisle, her gown of ivory silk whispering against the stone floor, but it felt more like chains dragging her forward than a bridal train. The air was thick with the scent of incense and wilting flowers, arranged hastily for this unconventional union. Guests, family members and a few select advisors, sat in the pews, their whispers a low hum of speculation and intrigue. Some eyes gleamed with envy at her sudden elevation, others brimmed with pity for the bride marrying a man who could not even stand at the altar. Roderick's bed had been wheeled into the chapel, a macabre centerpiece flanked by nurses in crisp uniforms, their faces masks of professional detachment. Tubes snaked from his arms to machines that beeped rhythmically, a mechanical heartbeat in place of his own silenced one. His face was pale, almost ethereal under the soft light filtering through stained glass windows depicting saints and martyrs. Fitting, Elara thought bitterly. He was handsome, even in repose, a strong jawline shadowed by stubble, dark hair tousled as if in sleep, full lips that might have smiled in another life. But now, he was still, unresponsive, a duke reduced to fragility. The priest, his robes heavy with embroidery, stood before them, his hands clasped around a Bible that had seen better ceremonies. Elara knew he had been generously compensated to overlook the irregularity of it all. No consent from the groom, no vows exchanged in mutual promise. "Do you, Elara Voss, take Duke Roderick Thorn to be your lawfully wedded husband?" The priest intoned, his voice echoing in the vaulted space. She hesitated, her gaze fixed on Roderick's limp hand resting on the bedsheet. With a deep breath, she slipped the gold band onto his finger, the metal cold against his skin. "I do," she said, her words barely above a whisper, swallowed by the thunder rumbling outside. The priest nodded, pronouncing them man and wife as lightning flashed, illuminating the chapel in stark white. Nurses adjusted monitors, ensuring the Duke's vitals remained stable amid the farce. As the sparse applause echoed, Elara felt a chill run down her spine. She was now Duchess Thorne, bound to a man who might never wake, her life intertwined with his fortune and his silence. The storm broke as they wheeled him away, rain lashing the windows like accusations. In the opulent master suite of Thorne Manor, Elara sat by the crackling fire, the flames dancing shadows across the gilded wallpaper. The room was a testament to Roderick's taste: heavy velvet drapes in deep crimson, a four-poster bed carved from mahogany, and crystal chandeliers that sparkled like captured stars. But tonight, it felt like a gilded cage. The marriage certificate lay on the antique desk, its ink still fresh, mocking her with its finality. She poured another glass of wine, the rich red liquid a poor substitute for comfort. Adjoining the suite was Roderick's recovery chamber, a space transformed into a makeshift hospital ward with beeping monitors and sterile equipment clashing against the luxurious decor. She wandered in, her silk nightgown brushing the floor, and approached his bed. Up close, he seemed less intimidating, more human. She traced a finger along his jaw, curious about the man behind the myths. Whispers in society painted him as ruthless, a tycoon who crushed competitors to build his empire. "What secrets do you hold, Duke?" she murmured, her voice soft in the quiet room. A nurse entered quietly, checking IV lines and administering medications with practiced efficiency. "He's stable, Your Grace," she said, offering a sympathetic smile before retreating. Elara nodded, retreating to her side of the vast bed. The mattress was an ocean between them, his presence a distant shore. She lay awake, staring at the canopy above, thoughts swirling. This marriage was born of necessity, but already, curiosity gnawed at her. What if he woke? What kind of life awaited? Sleep came fitfully, dreams haunted by comatose eyes opening to judge her. Days melted into weeks, a routine of managing the unexpected. Elara immersed herself in Roderick's affairs, the study becoming her command center. Towering bookshelves lined the walls, filled with ledgers and contracts that detailed his vast holdings: gold mines in Africa yielding fortunes, shipping lines traversing the Atlantic with cargoes of spices and silks, estates in Europe and the Americas that generated rents enough to fund small nations. Advisors, once loyal to Roderick, now bowed to her, though their eyes held veiled suspicion. The coma could persist for years, one elderly accountant warned, pushing spectacles up his nose. Or he could awaken tomorrow. In the meantime, decisions must be made. Elara pored over documents, her mind sharp from years of overlooked education. She signed deals to expand mining operations, negotiated trade agreements that bolstered the fleet, all while navigating the intricate web of alliances and rivalries. Power surged through her veins like electricity. This forced role empowered her in ways she hadn't imagined. Yet, loneliness crept in during quiet moments. At night, she visited Roderick, confiding in his unresponsive form. "Today, I outmaneuvered that slimy merchant from Venice," she'd say, settling into the chair beside his bed. "You'd have been proud, or perhaps amused at my audacity." Unbeknownst to her, as she spoke, a faint twitch stirred in his finger, a subtle sign of life returning, hidden in the shadows of his coma. The peace shattered one midnight, the manor cloaked in darkness save for the moon's silvery glow filtering through curtains. Elara bolted awake to the creak of floorboards, her heart racing. Grabbing a heavy poker from the hearth, its iron cool in her grip, she slipped into the hallway. Shadows danced on the walls, and there, a figure lurking near the study door. "Who's there?" she demanded, voice steady despite the fear coiling in her stomach. The intruder turned, revealing Victor, Roderick's estranged cousin, his face twisted in greed. Tall and gaunt, with eyes like dark pits, he sneered. "The new Duchess, playing house. This marriage is a farce, a comatose groom. I'll contest it in every court. The fortune should be mine." He lunged, but Elara swung the poker, connecting with his arm in a thud that echoed. He yelped, retreating as she shouted for guards. Footsteps thundered, and Victor fled into the night, leaving threats hanging in the air. Panting, Elara returned to Roderick's side, her hands shaking. "We have enemies," she whispered, realizing the vultures weren't just metaphorical. Rivals eyed the empire, ready to strike. In that moment, their union felt less like a burden and more like a necessary alliance against the encroaching darkness. Months unfolded like pages in a reluctant novel. Elara's management of the estate sharpened her, transforming resentment into a grudging respect for the empire's complexity. She attended board meetings in tailored suits, her voice commanding respect from men twice her age. Evenings found her by Roderick's bed, reading from his collection of poetry, verses of love and loss that seemed poignant now. One twilight, as she recited lines about awakening souls, his eyelids fluttered. Elara. The word was a rasp, weak from months of silence, but it shattered the room's quiet. She froze, book tumbling to the floor. Roderick. Doctors swarmed, confirming the miracle. He was awakening, though memory fragmented like shattered glass. Flashes of the accident, his wife's screams, a sabotaged brake line perhaps. "Why are you here?" he asked, eyes clouded with confusion. Swallowing hard, Elara explained the forced marriage, her father's ultimatum. His expression shifted from bewilderment to intrigue, a spark igniting in those once dull eyes. The coma had ended, but their story was just beginning. Recovery was a painstaking journey, Roderick confined to bed as strength returned in increments. Elara became his caretaker, spooning broth and adjusting pillows, their interactions evolving from awkward to intimate. Conversations flowed, her dreams of independence, stifled by family expectations, his regrets over a life built on ambition at the cost of humanity. "I was a tyrant," he admitted one afternoon. Sunlight streaming through windows. Wealth accumulated on the backs of the broken. "Your sister, she saw the monster in me." Elara challenged him, her eyes flashing. "And yet, you built something enduring. Perhaps redemption lies in how we use it now." Debates sparked like flint on steel, kindling unexpected attraction. Victor's lawsuits loomed, a shadow over their fragile peace. They presented a united front in public, hands clasped in feigned affection that began to feel real. In a vulnerable moment, as rain pattered outside, Roderick grasped her hand. "This marriage, it might not be the curse I feared." Elara pulled away, heart conflicted between calculated alliance and budding emotion. Trust was a delicate bridge they were building, plank by plank. Betrayal came not from without, but within. While sorting Roderick's desk, Elara found a hidden letter, yellowed with age but damning in content. It detailed a plot, her father, Lord Harlan, orchestrating the accident that killed her sister and left Roderick comatose, all to force the merger of fortunes, eliminating obstacles in one fell swoop. Confrontation erupted in the drawing room, flames roaring in the hearth mirroring her fury. "How could you?" Elara demanded, letter clutched like a weapon. Lord Harlan paled, collapsing into a chair. "It was for the family. Your sister's marriage was failing." Roderick suspected her affairs. I saw an opportunity." Roderick, overhearing from his wheelchair in the doorway, wheeled forward, face thunderous. "You monster." Yet, as accusations flew, he turned to Elara. "She's innocent," he declared, defending her against her own blood. Together, they exposed Harlan, alerting authorities. The scandal rippled through society, threatening to topple the empire as stocks plummeted and allies wavered. Courtrooms became battlegrounds, the air thick with tension and the scratch of pens on paper. Elara testified with unwavering poise, detailing the plot under oath, her voice echoing in the wood-paneled chamber. Roderick, now ambulatory with a cane, sat beside her, his presence a pillar of support. Victor exploited the chaos, launching a hostile takeover bid, his lawyers arguing the marriage's invalidity. In private chambers, tensions exploded. "Did you know?" Roderick accused one night, pacing unevenly. "How dare you?" Elara retorted, tears stinging. "I've stood by you, rebuilt what was breaking." Their arguments peeled layers, revealing vulnerabilities, his fear of betrayal, her dread of being a tool. A stormy evening brought catharsis. Rain lashed the windows as they faced each other. "I married a corpse," she confessed, voice breaking, but discovered a man worth knowing. He stepped closer, cane forgotten, pulling her into an embrace. Their first kiss was a tempest, passion born of fire and forgiveness, sealing wounds with heat. With scandals quelled, Harlan imprisoned, Victor's schemes thwarted, Elara and Roderick stood on the manor's balcony, overlooking rolling hills and distant seas. The empire stabilized, wealth secured through their joint efforts. "We rewrite our story," Roderick said, offering a new ring, genuine this time, symbolizing choice over coercion. Elara accepted, slipping it on with a smile. To futures forged from ashes. As the sun dipped, painting the sky in gold and crimson, they toasted, hearts entwined in resilience and unexpected love. The coma, the force, the betrayals, all alchemized into a bond unbreakable.